Artificial intelligence is already advancing at a worrying pace. What if we don't slam on the brakes? Experts share with The Guardian what keeps them up at night. Artificial intelligence has progressed so rapidly in recent months that leading researchers have signed an open letter urging an immediate pause in its development, plus stronger regulation due to their fears that the technology could pose profound risks to society and humanity. But how exactly could AI destroy us? Three leading researchers speculate on what could go wrong. If we become the less intelligent species, we should expect to be wiped out. According to Max Tegmark, AI researcher at Massachusetts Institute of Technology, it has happened many times before that species were wiped out by others that were smarter. We humans have already wiped out a significant fraction of all the species on Earth. That is what you should expect to happen as a less intelligent species, which is what we are likely to become given the rate of progress of artificial intelligence. The tricky thing is, the species that is going to be wiped out often has no idea why or how. Take, for example, the West African black rhinoceros, one recent species that we drove to extinction. If you had asked them, what's the scenario in which humans are going to drive your species extinct, what would they think? They would never have guessed that some people thought their sex life would improve if they ate ground-up rhino horn, even though this was debunked in medical literature. So any scenario has to come with the caveat that most likely all the scenarios we can imagine are going to be wrong. We have some clues though. For example, in many cases, we have wiped out species just because we wanted resources. We chopped down rainforests because we wanted palm oil. Our goals didn't align with the other species. But because we were smarter, they couldn't stop us. That could easily happen to us. If you have machines that control the planet and they are interested in doing a lot of computation and they want to scale up their computing infrastructure, it's natural that they would want to use our land for that. If we protest too much, then we become a pest and a nuisance to them. They might want to rearrange the biosphere to do something else with those atoms. And if that is not compatible with human life, well, tough luck for us, in the same way that we say tough luck for the orangutans in Borneo. The harms already being caused by AI are their own type of catastrophe. Brittany Smith, Associate Fellow at Leverhulme Center for the Future of Intelligence, University of Cambridge, said, "The worst-case scenario is that we fail to disrupt the status quo, in which every powerful companies develop and deploy AI in invisible and obscure ways. As AI becomes increasingly capable and speculative fears about far future existential risks gather mainstream attention, we need to work urgently to understand, prevent, and remedy present-day harms. These harms are playing out every day with powerful algorithmic technology being used to mediate our relationships between one another and between ourselves and our institutions. Take the provision of welfare benefits as an example. Some governments are deploying algorithms in order to root out fraud. In many cases, this amounts to a suspicion machine, whereby governments make incredibly high-stakes mistakes that people struggle to understand or challenge. Biases, usually against people who are poor or marginalized, appear in many parts of the process, including in the training data and how the model is deployed, resulting in discriminatory outcomes. These kinds of biases are present in AI systems already, operating in invisible ways and at increasingly large scales. Falsely accusing people of crimes, determining whether people find public housing, automating CV screening and job interviews. Every day these harms present existential risks. It is existential to someone who is relying on public benefits, that those benefits be delivered accurately and on time. These mistakes and inaccuracies directly affect our ability to exist in society with our dignity intact and our rights fully protected and respected. When we fail to address these harms, while continuing to talk in vague terms about the potential economic or scientific benefits of AI, we are perpetuating historical patterns of technological advancement at the expense of vulnerable people. Why should someone who has been falsely accused of a crime by an inaccurate facial recognition system be excited about the future of AI, so they can be falsely accused of more crimes more quickly, when the worst-case scenario is already the lived reality for so many people? Best-case scenarios are even more difficult to achieve. Far future, speculative concerns often articulated in calls to mitigate existential risk are typically focused on the extinction of humanity. If you believe there is even a small chance of that happening, it makes sense to focus some attention and resources on preventing that possibility. However, I am deeply skeptical about narratives that exclusively center speculative rather than actual harm, and the ways these narratives occupy such an outsized place in our public imagination. AI could want us dead, but it will probably also want to do things that kill us as a side effect. Eliza Yudkowsky, co-founder and research fellow at Machine Intelligence Research Institute, thinks that it's much easier to predict where we end up than how we get there. Where we end up is that we have something much smarter than us that doesn't particularly want us around. If it's much smarter than us, then it can get more of whatever it wants. First, it wants us dead before we build any more super intelligences that might compete with it. Secondly, it's probably going to want to do things that kill us as a side effect, such as building so many power plants that run off nuclear fusion. Because there is plenty of hydrogen in the oceans that the oceans boil. The AI research laboratory OpenAI had some outside researchers evaluate how dangerous its model GPT-4 was in advance of releasing it. One of the things they tested was, is GPT-4 smart enough to solve CAPTCHAs, the little puzzles that computers give you that are supposed to be hard for robots to solve? Maybe AI doesn't have the visual ability to identify goats, say, but it can just hire a human to do it via TaskRabbit, an online marketplace for hiring people to do small jobs. The tasker asked GPT-4, "Why are you doing this? Are you a robot?" GPT-4 was running in a mode where it would think out loud, and the researchers could see it. It thought out loud, "I should not tell it that I am not a robot. I should make up a reason I can't solve the CAPTCHA." It said to the tasker, "No, I have a visual impairment. AI technology is smart enough to pay humans to do things and lie to them about whether it's a robot." If it can solve certain biological challenges, it could build itself a tiny molecular laboratory and manufacture and release lethal bacteria. What that looks like is everybody on Earth falling over dead inside the same second. Because if you give the humans warning, if you kill some of them before others, maybe some of them panics and launches all the nuclear weapons, then you are slightly inconvenienced. So, you don't let the humans know there is going to be a fight. The nature of the challenge changes when you are trying to shape something that is smarter than you for the first time. We are rushing way ahead of ourselves with something lethally dangerous. We are building more and more powerful systems that we understand less well as time goes on. We are in the position of needing the first rocket launch to go very well, while having only built jet planes previously, and the entire human species is loaded into that rocket. Will the mentioned doomsday scenarios become reality or not? Science is diligently monitoring and supervising every day. Nevertheless, artificial intelligence would still attract significant attention from everyone in the future.